Welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. And I must indicate that the lady we showed in handcuff is actually an accomplice and not the priestess. The police are still doing their work. Let's hope they will get everybody and they will face the law accordingly. Now, shortly, I'll read some of your messages on this matter, but it's worth reading a portion of Professor Ken Atefo's book on fighting armed robbery in Ghana at page 145. There is something he tells all of us and draws our attention to what the nation must do, otherwise we are doomed. So Professor Atefa writes, instant mob justice impinges on national security. It endangers the lives of the citizenry. You are involved if you think it doesn't affect you. Its administration is not founded on facts, proving through the regular judicial process. Virtually, anyone can easily be mistaken for a criminal and summarily punished. Inchirado of Joy faced this once a while. Virtually, anyone can easily be mistaken for a criminal and summarily punished. The lynching of an innocent and highly regarded young man, Anthony Yeboah Boateng, administrator of the Gorso Hospital and presiding member of the District Assembly. You remember that chilling thing? Yeah. By rampaging youth of Atronia in the Brong Ahafo region on April 17, 2007, shocked, confounded, and saddened Ghanaian society. Sometime in March 1999, that's Professor Atefa writing, I was nearly lynched in front of the Kaneshi police station in Accra when a man confidently insisted, though completely mistaken, that I had bought his taxi and failed to make the final payment well beyond the agreed deadline. I had never met the man in my life, and it took guts, brains, and God to convince the bellowing crowd that quickly surrounded me and bayed for my early morning blood to discard their readied fists and stones. It urgently beckons the nation to serious preventive and remedial action. His barbaric lynching is the most dramatic example of a mob mistake leading to gruesome death, a phenomenon that occurs all too commonly. Mr. Boateng, together with a Catholic nun, was conveying the remains of his mother-in-law in his car from the mortuary when the crowd of drunken youth mistook him for a serial or ritual killer, overlooked his protestations and claims of innocence, and callously murdered him. Then they destroyed his car in jubilation. If we fail to stem the ominous tide of instant justice enveloping our nation, anarchy can be the result, and our collective national security would be severely undermined. That's Ken Atefa's book on fighting armed robbery in Ghana, page 175. All right, so let's get to Jane and John. President Mahama, or the NDC, outdoored its running mates this week at the UPSA in a virtual program. She spoke on a wide range of issues and gave the nation a taste of what she's in to do on the political front. What do you make of her and her complementarity with John Mahama? Let's listen and watch this quickly and get my guest to speak.
He could have been a good president, and he will be a good president from 2021, because I believe that he has learned some lessons from some of the mistakes that he made. I think that the biggest mistake he made at the beginning of his presidency, not when he was finishing off President Mills' time, but at the beginning of his presidency, was to surround himself with people who were not core NDC members. You know, his special advisor or whatever was not, his secretary was not, his secretary to the cabinet was not, his, you know, so many of them. And so there was a divorce between the government and the party. And therefore, it was not very easy for the party's program to be implemented. To a large extent, it was a program of the bureaucracy that was being implemented and not the program of the party. But I think halfway through, he realized the problem, and so he changed course. And that's when he brought in Julius Debra as his chief of staff. He brought in what was his name? The deputy something at the AU now. Kotti.
Yes.
Yeah, as a secretary. I mean, yes. He changed his immediately because he realized the problem that had been created. And I think that since we came into position, he has been working with the party people very, very closely. And that's why I think that he will be a very successful president. But even in his presidency, I think that he did very well in terms of development, especially. His development agenda was excellent. But I think it was his handling of the party that created problems for him. I've known Jane for a long time. We are actually age mates. We were both born in 1951. I'm only 1 month ahead of her. I was born in October, she was born in November. We entered secondary school together, we left together. I have known her for a long time. In 1996, I was the one who brought her from Cape Coast University to come and interview President Rawlings on Radio Gold. We have been very close together. But she was President Mahama's education minister. She was also my education minister. So if anybody should be a better judge of her as a politician, it should be President Mahama. It's not me. I think that she's President Mahama's choice. It is not time yet. Otherwise, I would reveal to you what I did and who my preferred choice was for the number 2, for the running mate position.
It wasn't Jane?
No, it wasn't Jane. But the moment she was announced, I accepted her because I know she's very good material. And we are also, you know, charting a new course. We are breaking the glass ceiling, as they say. And you can see the confusion that it has caused in the opposition, in the government party camp, because I think this was the last thing that they imagined would happen. But I think that it is a brilliant ticket. Nana is a lady of steel. You know, you don't run a big university like Cape Coast University with all these professors, a medical school, a law faculty, this and all of that. I mean, it takes guts to be able to, you know, manage an institution. It's not even an institution. It's a city. It's a secondary city because population of Cape Coast University is bigger than most of the secondary cities that we have in Ghana. So she has managerial acumen, and I think she has performed well, and she deserves it. It's a good ticket. I recommend it to Ghanaians.
No, I didn't turn down the offer, but I'm immensely glad that John chose Nana as running mate. You know, I sidestepped the position. I think that every party must forge a generational transition. You can't have the same generation of people leading and directing the party all the time. I thought it was time for the party to have this generational transition so that we, the older ones, can step back and still provide guidance if it is sought. And I think that that's what has happened, and I'm immensely thrilled that Nana was chosen. And you can see from her performance that she's every bit the kind of vice presidential material that we need.
Right, so you've just been listening to Professors Kwame Ahoy and also Boche, Kwesi Boche. And Kwame Ahoy, on the back of a book he has just launched, authored, working with Rawlings, granted an interview to Kojo Yangshin, host of the morning show, Super Morning Show, and you heard the good things he had to say about Nana Jane Opoku. And yes, so Ajiman, yes, Professor Jampo, Professor Kwamna Hoy says she's a woman of steel, and that there is a born-again John Mahama. There's a John Mahama who has an experience being president and who has learned from his mistakes and giving an opportunity. And remember, this is how John Mahama launched his campaign to become flag bearer. He launched it on the basis that I have been there, I have done things, I know how to do it better now. So he says that complementarity is going to work. Kwesi Boche says she's the best as far as the selection is concerned, even though the generational thing he was talking about doesn't appear to gel with when you look at Nana's age as well. Yeah, what do you say?
Well, I think the appointment of Nana Opoku-Agyeman, in my view, is a validation of the well-researched truism that in any developing country like ours, it is education, and sometimes not even the economy. It is education that will really help us in our fight against the quagmires of poverty and underdevelopment. And so thinking that, look, education is good, he decided to go on to appoint somebody who has that background. And so I'm thinking that as the campaign unfolds and the lead up to the 2020 elections, we will be talking more about education. And so may the contest between free SHS and the NDC's position on education be articulated, and let the one who is able to win the hearts of Ghanaians win. But the point is this. You cannot sort of completely write her off and say that, well, she's not adding anything to the ticket and all that. I mean, those who have done that or are doing that should take an excursion to the academic boards of the various public universities and to see how debates and arguments, are made in support or against certain positions, and see how vice chancellors try to contain some of these things. It's not easy to run an academic institution made up of lecturers, senior lecturers, associate professors, full professors, and emeritus professors, and then you are the head. It's not something that is easy at all. And so if somebody is able to go through that the mill and to rise to that top position, in the University of Cape Coast used to be called the University of Constant Confusion. And during her tenure, I think there was some calm in the turbulence and all that. And so I think that she brings to the ticket a certain managerial competence, and then also, in my view, a certain level of decency. She spoke for several minutes or hours without attacking the MPP, and I think that is something that if we pursue, let the debate be a healthy contest of ideas. When the MPP mount the platform, let them say whatever they want to say.
She never mentioned MPP.
She never mentioned.
But are you saying there were no?
Well, there may be innuendos and jabs and all, but it was not that direct. And I thought it was something that was commendable. Okay. And I'm thinking that going forward into the elections, I mean, some of these things, especially if we don't get the opportunity to get a debating platform, then we should be mindful that when these aspirants and their running mates mount the platform, they will be able to just articulate what they intend doing and the bread and butter concerns of Ghanaians. And so I think she, how she is able to articulate what John Mahama intends doing, the remorseful John Mahama and John Mahama who has learned his lesson in an opposition, how she's able to help in articulating what they intend doing will be key in deciding whether they will be given the nod or not, and how Dr. Bawumia is also able to articulate the achievement, as a ruling party would also be key. So at the end of the day, in my view, she is one of the reasons why the 2020 elections are going to be competitive, particularly given the fact that people are now being cautious. When we started, her name came up, you had people who were saying all manner of things against her. But it seems to me that going forward and as time progressed, people are now being cautious. You are cautious because if you don't take care, your comments may be seen as an attack on womanhood. And when that happens, and you have a critical mass of people getting up to rise in her defense, then you may not be doing well to your own electoral fortunes, particularly in an election that proves to be, that is likely to be keenly competitive and all that. So I think I wish her well. It was just an outdooring, and usually an outdooring is an outdooring. People are saying that she was not hard on, she was not heard about major policy issues. I think the major policy issues would have to be articulated by John Mahama himself. Okay. But when she tried to venture into some minor policy areas, she did so well, but I think the challenge was that she said nothing on the economy. And I'm thinking that in a post-COVID regime, if you're thinking about how governance will have to be carried out after COVID, you cannot talk about that without talking about the economy, because we know how COVID, is ravaging economies of nation and all. And you do not need to be an economist to be able to talk about the economy. People debate budgets and economic policies of government on the floor of parliament, and they don't know anything about economy.
But John Mahama, who heralded her, spoke about the economy. Yeah,
but I'm saying that she herself, when she tried to venture into other areas of policy, she said nothing about the economy. But I was expecting that I was going to hear something small, about the economy. She didn't say. But all in all, I think
she looks ready.
It's good for them. I mean,
she looks ready.
Yeah, I think she's hit the ground running. And one of the considerations I'm thinking was taken into account was the fact that they looked out for somebody who cannot be easily attacked. Okay, somebody. Our politicking is so nasty that sometimes we will not listen to what you intend doing, but we'll look at your own person and commit that ad hominem fallacy of attacking the person instead of the message that she may be carrying. And they try to look for somebody somebody that you can't attack, her person and all.
And so doesn't have any baggage.
Not well. I'm sure if they did, you see. If a police officer says he won't arrest you, it means he doesn't want to arrest. But if they want to dig and find something, I'm sure very soon Matthew Poku Pempe will be heard about her achievements or whatever.
Yeah, he's been saying a few things.
Well, so we'll have to interrogate those things and see how she's able to come out to defend herself and all that. At the end of the day,
but in the education front, she has such a record that you can't seem to have something to say that she has done something wrong in the area.
Well, so
rather she has achieved, something that is historic, that they rely on, about the results, for WASI, is it SSC, so...
Yeah, there are pluses there, but I'm also aware of some investigations about her own administration there that also talk about certain challenges that occurred, within her tenure. And so let's see how these things come up and how she's able to own up to them and to defend. Okay. I'm saying that the battle for 2020 is going to be fought with education playing a key role. And may the one who is able to articulate and demonstrate a firm grasp of the issues, around that area win.
Okay. All right. Kuku?
Yeah.
Yes, and you are known publicly unapologetic. Is it are you Assemblies or a Methodist?
I'm a Pentecostal.
Pentecostal, okay. So she went to church, and the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church of Ghana, Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena Boafo, prayed for her and urged her, because she had demonstrated that she was coming in to try and sanitize. Yeah. The question is how she's able to hold to that the way she started, not getting down there, as in getting into the gutter. Yes, Kuku.
Well,
she's ready?
Well, premature to answer that question. It's too early in the day.
No, but her first outing by the platform she got will give you an indication that she's ready.
he didn't wait for me to conclude. I was going to make a statement. See, you remember I was here with Madame
Joyce Bauer
when we first analyzed it. That was when she had been nominated or announced. And I made a point that it was a smart and exciting choice.
Okay.
That was my initial appreciation.
Smart and exciting choice.
Yes. And I still stand by that.
Okay.
And also, looking at her politically, it's such a remarkable rise to the position of a running mate, considering that at 2013, she was not a card-bearing member of the NDC. In terms of political trajectory, it's quite a remarkable rise. In the unlikely situation of the NDC winning, then she becomes a vice president. That would be also very remarkable. And you could see that she also played on that card in her maiden speech, the woman factor, even though there are people in the NDC who have tried to suggest that was not the paramount or primary consideration when she was being selected. Some of us don't believe that. That's why I say it was smart and exciting, because it brings a certain new paradigm, even though there have been women who have been presidential candidates or vice presidential candidates. But we all agree that in terms of the two major parties who appear to have the capacity to win an election at this material moment in our history, is the first time, and you need not ignore it or underestimate it. That's a very candid opinion I hold on that. Having said that, then that is where, when you asked me that question already, I was careful. We are going to look at, and when I say we, I mean the analysts, but especially the political opposition. The opposition to them will be doing that. But we as social commentators, analysts, were entitled to engage in that exercise. You know, what is her track record? In government, not in academia. Some will do that analysis. In academia, I don't think there's some real challenge there, in my candid opinion. I think this is a very competent professional.
But in analyzing her, you can't divorce the academia, what she did.
I'm
from
telling
what
you
she,
where the
she
emphasis
did in
will be. The emphasis. We're talking politics now. Strict politics. We're going for an election. What people will be looking at.
Why should the emphasis be what she has done in politics, not a question of her capacity to be a manager?
No. That you are entitled to make that distinction and place emphasis on that one.
No, you are saying the focus will be on what she did in government.
Yes.
So my question is, why that?
Because that is very critical and important. We're talking governance of the nation. We're not just talking about managing a
It's about leadership.
Yes, of different levels. We're not talking about managing a university, however important and big it is, as Mr. Hoy was saying.
We always say the university is a microcosm of the country.
Something. I'm saying that we are talking of governing the country, the nation. And so her performance in government as a minister of education is something you cannot ignore or underestimate. That's the point I'm making.
Right.
I've even considered that in terms of academia, I think she's really solid. And I don't see much of emphasis there. Unless people go digging. But for what? Okay? She's clearly an established professional when it comes to academia and education. But when it comes to me as Minister of Education, I'm saying people will scrutinize it. See, one, the process she went through when she appeared before the Parliamentary Appointments Committee, the answers that she provided for some questions that she was asked, is a legitimate target to scrutinize, whether when she was in office, she went in line with those things. Two, for instance, this is her handing over notes. this handing over notes, which is a constitutional requirement, as you know, to the President in the Transition Act, is also available for scrutiny. That goes with her performance in government. This is her story. It will be checklisted. You checklist what she's put in this paper, this document here, and what she said adverting, and the output. It's legitimate. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the point I am making. There are those who go and dig into academia. I won't go there because I'm sure that it's almost a perfect track record there. That's my view. Somebody may disagree and could go and find something that I have not come across. That's politics. You can't run away from it. Short of slandering her, libeling her, character assassinating her, those are things I won't support. But a merciless critique of her performance as a Minister of Education is legit. Double checking her answers at the vetting and whether she really lived by the things she said is legit. Same with this handing over notes. That's the way I see it. That's a healthy approach towards politics. Rather than...
So you are just giving a list of what people may use to scrutinize her.
Or research students may use.
Yes, but the question here is, what's your assessment of her readiness and what she brings to the John ticket?
I've told you it's premature. I have not yet made a judgment as to her capability relative to the political field. But I tell you something. I was telling some friends that perhaps this COVID situation and the restrictions that come with it, which would not enable us to hold big rallies where we go and do that soapbox thing, may help her. In the sense that, you see, when I was listening to her speech, I remembered the days I was in school when one of my literature teachers come to teach us English literature. Yeah, she's got a sweet voice. She's really focused. She's educated, hugely educated. And I felt like a student listening to my teacher in the old days. It will be good for her on the social media, mainstream media, close, small dialogues here and there, meeting the media and things. Fortunately for her, we will not have those mass rallies to see how her body language will go, how she will tune up with the masses.
But you are not suggesting that if that opportunity existed, she may not live up to,
It is a hypothesis. It is a hypothesis that at this stage, I'm not sure we can interrogate.
Let's attempt,
because we will not have
let's attempt a comparison.
Yeah.
We know how Bawumia was surprisingly unleashed on us. And I followed Bawumia's campaign team right after he was outdoored, across the country. Compare Bawumia's first outing as a politician to become vice president and Nana Jinopokwajiman, who has demonstrated readiness
you remember
more than the other.
You asked this question the last time I was here with Joyce. You did ask, and we examined it. And I made the point that Bawumia in the first phase, when he had just been put out there, also didn't have that kind of magic he has today. You remember I said that?
Right.
Some people misunderstood me. But subsequently, Bawumia is going for the fourth time in terms of this running mate thing. Yeah. He's gathered something. He's become more experienced. He's gone out there, both the mass rallies as well as the dialogue situation I'm talking about. Progressively, he developed some qualities and capability. Madam Jane Ofoko-Achampong, Ajimai, is at the early stage. I made that point, some people didn't understand.
Yeah, so my question is, at this very early stage, if you compare the two, now you have listened to her go around, she's giving some interviews, how she articulates, how she answers questions. If you compare that to how Bawumia started off, how does it look?
Well, at this stage, if you are comparing the two as they stand, it's a mismatch. In my candid opinion, it's a mismatch. But you are asking me to do a memory lane thing. That's what you are asking.
That's correct.
That, you see, let's see, perhaps, because she's been a Minister of Education before, unlike Bawumia, who was at the Bank of Ghana and not exposed to politics, she may perhaps have a certain advantage in terms of politics or understanding of the governance system. And that is going back, you're putting Baumia at that time there, timeline. I think that's what we are doing.
Yeah.
And it's a very difficult exercise because if you are not careful, you may come out, there may be a certain lack of consistency or people appreciating what kind of comparative analysis is this. It's difficult.
Okay.
Yes, but you have pushed me to that stage. So I say yes, to the stage that she's a little bit more comparatively politically exposed at her first time because of as a Minister of Education. Perhaps we can give her a certain credit, but it's difficult because apart from the dialogue form, the consultative forum, the social media, mainstream media encounters, we may not see her do the bigger ones, which may go in an advantage, the point I was making. She is not going to be exposed to the mass, gathering or rallies for us to see whether indeed she's got that quality, relative. And when I say quality, I'm not talking about intellectual quality. I'm talking about, in politics, there are many things. Communication. When you are communicating with the masses and things, there is something to say or not to say. But please, she will be examined critically. When you, as a minister, there were things you did. Also, you've heard about this Munti 3 thing that people have raised. And she's explaining. Her explanation is unsustainable in my candid opinion.
How?
It costs the party and government a lot. They know. Okay? That
She has tried to situate what she did. Because the claims are that she's a woman and there were people who were threatening issues of rape against a woman, and she went to their defense.
Yeah.
And she explains that that is completely inaccurate because they were put before the Supreme Court. They were not charged with any rape issue. And the people are not said to have committed any rape or anything like that.
Yes, I agree.
And they were punished for contempt.
Yes.
And that the process was allowed to its end.
Yes.
And they paid monies, they went to jail, and they just, as a mother, they made appeals. And she said, they have already suffered, they have made appeals, pardon them at this point. She doesn't see anything wrong with that.
I'm talking of the politics of it. It was a politically disastrous decision taken by President Mahama. And some of us said it publicly. Okay, I was against even the trial in terms of contempt charges. You know that. And I was also praying that they shouldn't be given custodial sentence. But all this were before the court decided. When the court decided, they decided the foot soldiers went out of their way. Don't forget, there were demonstrations and things, solidarity and all that, get them out almost immediately. I think the President Mahama was cautious. He delayed for a while in order to let people know that, look, I didn't just ignore the Supreme Court verdict. I did something. But it was politically a disastrous decision. And it had a negative effect on them. They know.
If you wanted them not to go to jail, and then they happen to have been put in jail for a while, and then their sentences get remitted, so to speak, why do you call it a disaster?
Have you forgotten what I said? When President Mahama was contemplating it, and it was public, I made a point that if he did that, he would be signing his political death warrant, quote unquote. That's a statement I made.
Okay.
I was convinced that once the Supreme Court had taken that decision, if President Mahama took the decision of giving them clemency, it would be seen in the political context, not the constitutional.
All right.
He had every right constitutionally. You know that.
Yeah.
I think
It went to court.
Went to court and lost.
To court, yeah.
Yes. So the issue was not the constitutionality of the president's decision, but the politically unwise decision that thing represented. And anybody who went signing,
run out of time.
No, I'm sorry, anybody who went signing that petition has a baggage.
We've run out of time. Dr. Jampo wants to make some 30 seconds.
I just wanted to say that I do not think that Kuku can determine the kind of issues that people want to interrogate. Let us leave it to Ghanaians. And then most importantly, no. You are saying that what we'll be looking at will be downplaying her role, in the
then you shouldn't have asked me to interrogate the issue
as vice chancellor, and then looking at certain. And I'm saying that let's leave it broad for people. And then also, more importantly, It is not so much about the antiques and the kinds of things that will be displayed or that get displayed on party rallies that matters. It's about the track record, as you rightly said. And so
thank you.
Let us interrogate the track record.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And instructively, I'm reading some small portion of page 24 of the judgment delivered by the court in respect of Miss Ivaloko when she sued over her removal from the office. The court said, I will dismiss the counterclaim of both defendants asking for plaintiff to return the keys. I believe this relief has been overtaken by a fleeting of time. I do not find anything unlawful of plaintiff keeping her office keys in the circumstances of this case. So the court had actually found that there was no point about saying someone cannot keep their keys to their office, depending on the situation, even though they have been asked to go on accumulated leave. Thank you very much. Our time is up. My guests have been Abdul Malik Kubako, Editor-in-Chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper, and our regular panelist, Professor Ransford Jampo of the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana. I'm sorry you've sent in some messages. We ran out of time. I'm unable to read them. Hopefully next week we'll continue an interesting edition of Newsfile. All right. Have a good afternoon. I'm Samson Ladia Nyanini.